Yes, as long as we maintain our schedule, but like also a 7-minute episode would be a little short.
No, yes, but I mean, like, yeah, but like we could, but we.
Caught in a little loop there, huh?
I really was.
Welcome back to Pride and Accomplishment. I'm Chris.
And I'm Jason. This is episode 57. I'm going to be honest.
Lay it on me.
About 48 hours ago, Chris and I had no idea what we were going to talk about on this episode.
That was only 24 hours ago, actually.
Okay, fine. I was trying to give us a little credit. Jeez. So we said, okay, what are we going to talk about? And so I forced Chris to download Splitgate, which, to be fair, was not very hard to do. But we played some Splitgate, and I think it's something worth talking about.
Splitgate, for those who haven't heard of it, is a first-person shooter game that is like a cross between Counter-Strike and Portal. You play as like a first-person Space Marine, whatever. I don't know what the characters actually are, but then you have guns and whatever, and then you have portals, and you can make portals like in the game Portal, where you place one, then you place the other on different walls, and you walk through it, and you show up in the other place. It's really cool.
It actually, I am impressed with the ingenuity of the first-person shooter genre. Like this game, or I'm impressed with the ingenuity of this game. Like, there has not been a whole lot of new things coming out for first-person shooters in a while. It's been a lot of the same. And so to add this new like mechanic type thing to the game has, I don't know, been interesting. It's been interesting to like learn how to utilize, and it changes the game in such a way that you are kind of relearning a little bit. We're really used to like class-based, first person shooters now, like Overwatch and Paladins. And even Valorant falls a little bit into this trap, right? And we're used to, the big military ones like Battlefield and Call of Duty that, have like cool things like wall running every now and then or whatever. But like, this has been the first one in a while that truly has a new mechanic that is pretty cool.
Yeah, so this was a risky game for me because it's a first-person shooter, and if you've been following along in our previous episodes, you know that I'm not particularly good at first-person shooters. But I will say that I played it for, I want to say, an hour maybe yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I actually enjoyed it. So, hats off to the Splitgate people.
Yeah, I hesitate to make that comparison to Counter-Strike. That makes it sound like a really like intimidating game. And I don't know that that's a fair comparison. I mean, it's accurate. It's a shooter. It's a round-based shooter. It's, the levels are on a similar size than, to Counter-Strike. But I would say it's much more approachable because there are, in my opinion, a lot less decisions to make. There's no buy round. There's no, we're not at any point where there's team-based tactics yet. It's not necessary to win the game. So I feel like it's way more approachable than Counter-Strike. But the big thing being the portal aspect, right? Like this idea that you can shoot portals and teleport around the map, or just shoot portals and like snipe through them instead of walking through. It's really cool. The one thing that they've done perfectly with this, though, is they've like, you can see how really quickly it could get out of hand. They've done a really good job of constructing maps such that you can only place portals in the ways that are fair, but still like fun and can lead to like different things.
Yes, I will say that in the first game that we played, I actually killed like 2 or 3 people, which for me, playing a first-person shooter for the first time is almost unheard of. And I think that what I realized was that I like this game because the respawn timers are very short, and because it gives me a chance with the portals. It gives me an opportunity to sneak up on somebody, and anytime that I can catch somebody off guard, I win the encounter, and I like that. Whereas in most games, if I'm the one getting caught off guard because the people I'm playing against have memorized all the maps and played for 1,000 hours, and they know exactly what's going on, and they jump around a corner shooting at my head when they don't even know if I'm there, and I end up dying before I even register that there's a guy there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll still happen if you get into higher levels. But that was like kind of the nice part of this game is that it was new and like no one we played with was at that level yet.
Right. So there's nobody dragging our MMR so far up that we just end up playing with the people that have been playing for a million hours.
Yeah, and there's no Smurfs yet, and there's no like that is, I mean, quite honestly, being able to play a new game like that is kind of nice.
Yeah, so Splitgate came out July 1st of this year. So it's only been out for almost 2 months at this point. And that means that, yeah, it hasn't had a lot of time to get that whole community of toxic players around it, I guess.
And it didn't really take off until, I don't know, what, early to mid-August, I would say. They had like this massive server issue where they couldn't keep up with demand. And I can't place exactly when it happened, but it was one of those things where they were just overwhelmed with the number of people like actually wanting to play the game. It is free to play, right? So it's one of those things that, yeah, it's the barrier to entry. The price is right. It's perfect actually. But it was also, I think people were looking for something else. It was very interesting because on an NPR podcast that I listened to, they mentioned that it was the next Fortnite. Now, whether NPR is an appropriate source for video game news is debatable, but even that someone is making that comparison is interesting. That like we've moved on. There's a new game. So I've played a little bit more than Chris. Been playing with some other people, and I've been enjoying it a lot. I think this is the one that I will continue to kind of go back to every now and then. And I think there's a really specific reason for that. I like the ability to pop in and out of this game. I like the way they do rewards with dailies, weeklies, seasonals, and Battle Pass, which we'll get to in a little bit. I think they structure that really well. I like the way and I like the length of matches. I think those three things together make for a very approachable game that kind of just is one of those things that's going to be always in your library, always downloaded, always updated, ready to go. And I think that's really powerful for a free to play game.
I'm not sure that I think that this is going to be the next Fortnite or even the next Rocket League, right? Something that is always downloaded and always updated, for me at least. But I will say that I finished last night like a session and I was like, okay, I think I'm done with this for now, but I would like to play this again. And I think that is really the key for any free to play game, especially because you don't even have a kind of sunk cost idea in your mind to say, well, I paid $20, I paid $40, I paid $60 for this game. I must, give it at least 5 hours. Like when the game is free, you're like, okay, well, I played this for 10 minutes and I didn't like it, so I delete it. Right. The barrier to entry and exit is pretty low. But I would say that this one, yes, is very fun. And I don't know that I would say that it'll keep me coming back forever. But it definitely is a nice, I guess, distraction to other things that are going on, gaming wise. And it's kind of fun to try. But I will not agree with your approachability aspect of it, at least for me, because coming into it, and maybe I was coming into it and trying to catch up quickly, which is something that I struggle with anyway in a lot of games. But the menus, it feels very free to play. Like it is a free to play game and it feels very free to play. And there's just a lot of like, hey, here's a full screen pop up of something that we're going to try to tell you so that you should learn it. And then, hey, here's another thing. And hey, here's, you're getting points, you're getting XP and BP and, whatever. And then you've got people that are like, hey, go to this thing and go pick some modes. And you're like, well, I can't even pick modes until I'm level 2 or 3 or 4 or whatever the number is. And so I would say that as a absolute brand new player, it was a little bit overwhelming. But once, 20 minutes into it, it was not bad at all.
You reminded me of something. Do you remember when Rocket League went free to play and they switched the menus? And like we logged in for the first day. And I think I said to you, maybe, I said, wow, these menus feel free to play. And I think there was someone else on the channel, or I told someone else that, and they like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean the menus feel free to play? I'm glad you said that. I'm really glad that you mentioned that this game's menus feel free to play, because they do. I don't know how to describe it. I like this could be a whole topic on itself and maybe for a different podcast, but like, what does a game's menus feeling free to play mean? I can't describe it, but I know it when I see it.
Yeah, I agree that it's something that you know when you see, and it's something that is pretty inescapable these days. I mean, even I would say that some full-on $60, $70 games feel free to play by their menu choices anyway. And maybe that's just the monetization world that we're entering now. But it's just, yeah, whenever you see that thing that says new right on the store tab or whatever, right, and it's just very flashy and very, hey, 7 loot boxes to open, right? It's just super. There is a certain vibe to it that just kind of says, yeah, this is a free-to-play game and we would like you to spend some money on it, please.
Would you call Overwatch's menu a free-to-play menu?
I don't think so. Well, I mean, and I know that Overwatch isn't really a free-to-play game, but like it feels like it may as well be since everybody has it. But I don't think it does. I mean, yes, it does have a loot box thing, and yes, it does tell you when you have loot boxes to open. But something about it, there's just a different production value, I think, of Overwatch as compared to something like Splitgate, at least. Rocket League is super high production value now, too. And I think that I've gotten used to, or it's toned down in Rocket League, the free-to-playness, and I'm not sure, maybe it hasn't. But it is... I think Overwatch is not... Well, I haven't played... I should disclaimer this. I haven't really launched Overwatch in like a year and a half. So I may be out of touch with it, but at least last time I touched it, it seemed pretty legit, I guess. And maybe some of that comes from the fact that they had on their first screen, they had the ability to get into the settings menu, right? Without having to go to some weird little thing in the top right or top left corner. They didn't have a super in-your-face store, although they do have, banner announcements from time to time. But I don't think that Overwatch has the same level. Like it's something about like the animations in the menu where you get like one big character that's like in one of the different cosmetics, which yes, those cosmetic suits are, paid for somewhat, or you can win them through the game. I don't think it's the same vibe as something like this Splitgate or maybe even Rocket League to some degree.
I agree. Well, Rocket League feels free to play, but I agree with you. And that's kind of why I asked, because it has a lot of those similar elements like loot boxes and cosmetics and an item store and all that. But like, I agree, it doesn't feel free to play. And again, like this is just, I was just kind of calibrating my free to play menu detector. And, that's like, what a weird thing to kind of notice, but not be able to put your finger on. Anyway, I mean, that doesn't really matter. Like, it's still like, because it's free to play, it's both a pro and a con, depending on how you look at it. I think there was no way I would have gotten you to purchase this game. And when we were done with our, kind of like checking it out, playing together kind of session, you said, "Oh, I'd play that again." And I think I said out loud, "Oh my God, that's a glowing endorsement from Chris."
Yes, you did.
Because it is like, to get Chris to say, "Oh yeah, I'd play that first person shooter again," like that. It's the best first. I mean, I don't know. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but it was very interesting to hear you say, "Yeah, no, that was pretty cool."
That being said, I think that there is a definite like limit to my interest in this game, at least in a short term. Like in the session, right? I cannot play this game for 3 hours at a time. Like I could play Rocket League all night, right? I could sit down and we just play one more game, Rocket League. But I could not play Splitgate like this, at least not right now, because I just felt, actually, you said before that you thought the rounds were the right length and they were pretty fast. I think of the games we played yesterday, those games are really slow. Like I found myself looking down at the clock and being like, oh my gosh, there's like 5 minutes left in this game. That seems like forever. And just like, I mean, not because, and maybe that was just because we were doing so well. And I was like, wow, we are really, our team is holding the ball for as long as we need to, right? There's kind of this capture the flag thing where you get points as long as you carry this ball. And our team was just completely dominating. And we had, 160 points to 0. And I think the game played to like 500 points. And you got like 1 point a second. And it just seemed like it went on forever. forever and ever. And it just wasn't like, yeah, there was a lot of interest in terms of like, yeah, we got to chase the ball person, or like, oh yeah, we got to defend the ball person, like whatever. But it just wasn't interesting enough to me. I was like, okay, this should be over after about 3 minutes. And it probably took 8 minutes to play a whole round. And that's just my personal opinion. But I did feel like it was actually a little slower than I wanted it to be.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree. I think the rounds that we played specifically were a little slow. They were slower. The games we played together were slower than the some others that I had experienced. But you were right about the time there. It seems like they target, or in a lot of game modes, limit the game length to 8 minutes. That seemed to be like the time they were really shooting for. I think in the past, a lot of times my game ended around the 5.5 to 6.5 minute mark, based on points. But they cap most of the game modes at 8 minutes, which again, there's no, like, the clock doesn't stop like it does in Rocket League. It just keeps going and going and going. So it really is an 8-minute game, whereas in a Rocket League, it's a 5-minute game time, but it ends up being 8 to 10 minutes, with how many goals you score and the replays and the countdowns for the ball to get started again. And like, it adds up. It really comes down to an 8-minute game. I've been making a lot of comparisons to Rocket League because I think as I've been playing this game, I have been saying this is, for me, the Rocket League of first-person shooters. And I have a really specific reason for that. I think it's the match length is one of them, but I feel like it's a very similar feeling for me in that, hey, I want to play something really quick. I may only have a half hour. I want to play something that I know I'll have fun in, but not necessarily win. It feels like a first-person shooter that finally is something that I can be competitive but low stress about. I feel that in Rocket League, where like you get this really competitive feeling, but in the end, it doesn't really make or break your day. Like, can you imagine like losing 2 League of Legends games in a row? Like, that's like an hour and a half down the drain. Whereas like in this one, you were like, oh, we're losing. We'll get the next game, right? And it'll be a whole new set of people in 8 minutes or less, and that'll be fine. I feel that. I think even like, we've talked about Overwatch, we talked about Battlefield and Call of Duty, those match lengths, the feelings in those games are different because they're longer. It's a bigger investment to get into a game. Like, heck, a Battlefield game takes like 8 minutes to start. Like, by the time the game has started, you could have played.
That's because they have to find 372 people to play with.
Not that many, but yes, like, you have to get in your squad. You got to choose your loadout. You got to, potentially come up with a strategy with your squad leader. Like, I mean, again, it depends. Your mileage may vary on how like in depth you get in the game, but like, it's true that like to fill the server, to end the game, to start the next game. In Battlefield, sometimes it's a 5 to 7 minute process. Whereas in Splitgate, a game ends, you're in another one within, I don't know, a minute. And that just feels really good.
That was actually a source of confusion a couple times when we were playing yesterday, in that it just automatically like starts you searching for another game. And I couldn't figure out how to get out of that. Like how, like we would be like, oh no, we're searching. Like what, how, I didn't click anything. And it's like, yeah, no, it just does it. And so you have to like opt out of playing the next game instead of opting into it, which was a little bit surprising to me, coming from something like Rocket League where everybody has to ready up, or the party leader has to, search for the next game and stuff like that. So it was definitely a different feel than Rocket League. But that, that level of engagement of like, let's just roll right into the next one was really nice, so that when you want to play, you can just play. Like there's no like, oh, okay, well, let's search for a match. It might be 10 minutes before we find stuff, and then you have to be there to ready up and accept it and all that stuff. It's none of that, right? It's just, automatic searching, goes into a lobby, starts the game, and you're playing, which is really nice. One thing that I did do when I was playing Splitgate was I started out playing in it, and they give you Q and E as your 2 portals, and then they have Z and X to like destroy the portals so that enemies can't follow you. And I started doing this and I was like, oh my gosh, I need mouse buttons for this. Because there was no way that I could like get my fingers contorted to like press Z and X, and then like V is melee. And like, it was just a lot of like moving your your fingers away from WASD, and that was weird. So I did have to, over the course of a few rounds, because the rounds came so quickly, and I needed to kind of do some trial and error, I had to remap to my G602, Logitech G602, like MOBA mouse, kind of like it's like a shooter looking mouse, but it's like got 6 buttons on the thumb. And I ended up deciding to not map the Q and E, not map the portal creation buttons, but I did map the melee, I did map the grenade, and I did map the portal deletion buttons. And that improved my experience immensely.
Yeah, I hadn't done that yet, but I can only imagine. I think that was... I should have done it by now, but I think I would probably do something similar to you. But maybe I might do something similar that I do to other games, where like anything that's to the left of my hand would stay to the left of my hand, and anything kind of that's like to the right of my hand but I hit a lot, I would move to the mouse, to my right hand. So like you have 2 portals, right? You have your Q portal and your E portal. You have to deploy both to essentially make a tunnel. I would probably keep the Q portal there and move the E portal to some really easy button to hit on my mouse. And that like spatial difference crazy. For me is kind of cool. I think that's what really like grounds me in, oh crap, which portal did I deploy? I need to deploy the other one. Or, oh, I deployed my Q portal and I deployed my E portal, my right side portal. But I got rid of my E portal, but my Q portal's still there. So I still know where it is in my head. For me, like it all being on the left hand, I kind of lose track of which one I've, deployed and which one I've like pulled back. But if they were on totally separate hands, I feel like I would be much better at that.
Oh, I just always pull them both back, because I know that the pro strat would obviously be to place one and leave it there and then move where it points to while you're standing next to it, so that you could like walk back through it and change where you go. But I'm not playing at that high of a level yet, so I just automatically like delete both of my portals just to be safe. One funny thing that happened as a result of doing that, because of some things where I had, pre-existing button mappings and whatever, I ended up accidentally unassigning the F key, which is like the use key or the action key. And that's the button you have to use to like pick up a new gun. And so for like an entire round, I didn't have a button that let me, like it said like, pick up this, SMG with bracket none bracket. Like there was nothing mapped to it. And so like there was no way I could have picked up a different gun if I wanted to.
Oops.
But it's fine. It's fixed now. Not to worry. One thing I learned when I was going to set that up for the mouse like game detection mapping thing is that the executable of Splitgate is actually called portalwars.exe. So I thought that was
that's
kind of
interesting. I didn't notice that.
Yeah, they're really leaning into the whole portal thing. So like portals are very important in this game, and I feel like neither of us play with them to their fullest effect.
I wonder if that was like the original, like when you start up this project in Visual Studio, like what are you going to call it?
No, Portal Worlds.
Splitgate is available on Steam. Like we said, it is free to play. I would recommend downloading it. It does have a battle pass. And what I've noticed from the battle pass is that it doesn't seem to give you, at least as far as I noticed, any significant boost to your like progression in the battle pass if you buy it. There are some additional like challenges if you buy it, which will give you more like kind of XP towards your battle pass, but it didn't seem to like significantly increase your progress. So my idea there is to potentially buy it if I get far enough. And we'll see kind of how far I get in that battle pass, and then I'll buy it. So that's kind of my plan with it. But it's free. Download it, try it out. I think a lot of our listeners may have some fun with it.
It's also available on Xbox, both the Series X as well as the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4 and 5. So if you have a console and it's relatively recent, then you can play Splitgate as well. I don't know if there's crossplay. No idea.
I don't either.
But if you want to play with us, probably just play on PC.
Okay, Chris, I want to take some time to talk about Rocket League, because we like almost talked about it back there, but Rocket League has a new season and there's a little bit to talk about. I just feel like it's another disappointment.
I disagree.
Oh, wow. Okay. Maybe this is what we should have talked about to start with. I don't care at all for like almost anything in the entire Rocket Pass.
So the Rocket Pass theme this season 4, is some kind of Wild West kind of a thing, right? It's some kind of like, Western desert with a bunch of like cowboy hats and things like that, and like sheriff stars and all that. Like, so it's that kind of theme, but it's also like old timey stuff, like, or like not old timey stuff, but like Roadrunner and Coyote stuff, right? So you can get wheels that are like a bundle of dynamite. You can get wheels that I call Flintstone wheels that are basically just like stone chiseled into a circle. There is, the car is fine. The level 70 car is kind of overdone, as it tends to be, because it's like got like a propane tank on the front. I don't like it, but I would say that I think that it's a very strong theme. Like it's a very like, it all has a lot of like things that tie together. It's like first season of Westworld, right? It's that like old West kind of feel. Like you can get a title, The Sheriff. Anyway, I just think that I'm not like excited about all these things like individually, but I think as a set, I like having them. Like I've actually been like keeping some of the things I've been getting from the Battle Pass levels as I get them on my car. So like I got a little campfire. I put the little campfire as a topper. Like that was kind of fun. Then I got those Flintstone wheels and I put them on and I'm using them. So I think that I disagree that it's a lackluster season. I think it's maybe not a theme you like, but I think it's a theme that's at least knows what it's doing. Like at least it's put together better than the previous one, which was like random racing stuff, right? It was like traffic cones and weird stuff like that.
Now, see, I'll disagree with you there. I think, let me requalify my statement. I think it's a good put together Battle Pass. I am not excited about it at all. I was not excited about the NASCAR one. I think the NASCAR one or the racing one was well put together. I think there was a lot of good themed stuff in there that kind of all went together. Again, I wasn't excited about it. I wonder how this. I wonder whether this matters. Like, I wonder how much of this kind of leaning into a specific theme of a season is a good thing. I wonder if it would be more beneficial for Rocket League to be more generic about it. To be like, hey, we've got all this cool stuff. None of it's a theme, but it all looks really cool. I almost feel like I would like that better, because like I have not equipped a single thing from this Battle Pass, and I don't plan on equipping a single thing from this Battle Pass. I equipped the car from last season. I equipped maybe some of the cosmetics for a short period of time for last season. Maybe the banner. Like there were some things last season where I was like, oh, cool, I would try that. Or maybe just put on like one of the color of my cars, or I don't know. I just feel like there's nothing from this season that I am even like working towards. I mean, obviously the thing I'm working towards is to get the 1,000 credits to be able to buy next season's Rocket Pass.
Sure. I mean, that's always the goal. And this time I think I noticed that they're giving you the 100 credits every 12 levels instead of every 11 levels. Which is a little sneaky, but that's fine. That just means you have to get to 120 instead of 110 in order to get your 1,000 credits back, which is, it's 10 levels, but it's not huge. If you get to 110, you can get to 120. But right. I also think of this as, and this is my digital pack rat showing, but I think of this as, are these things that I would like to have in my collection in case I wanted to be goofy and thematic at some point and be like, I'm going to do an Old West thing. Ha ha ha. Like I could do that now because I'll get these things and they will be thematic and all of that. I can do the race car thing, right? I started to do a few of the things from last season too. I started to put little traffic cones in my boost and a few things like that. But like this one, I feel like I could really make a kind of cohesive, goofy Old West style thing. And I appreciate that. Like I appreciate being able to kind of have this thematic put together set, and maybe I won't use it every day. I probably won't. I'll probably at some point get tired of it and switch to something else, but that's okay. Then I'll have more stuff in my Rocket League garage and I can choose from it whenever I want to.
I do. There is a benefit to not caring so much about the Rocket Pass from on my side. I think I am playing the game more because I enjoy it and I just want to level up than kind of really focusing in on like a specific thing. Like last season, I really wanted the level 70 car. And I felt like a lot of my motivation around playing was kind of not for the right reason. It was to get the 1,000 credits. It was to get that level 70 car. And yeah, I want the 1,000 credits again this season, but I feel like when I ask to play now, I'm not asking, oh, I want to play because I know I have to get to a certain spot. I'm asking to play because I genuinely want to play. And I don't know if that's because we've gotten better, if we're ranked higher, if if I'm just having more fun with it, or if I'm just less focused on the Rocket Pass and that is in some way less stressful. Like, I don't know what it is, but my motivation for playing has changed, at least from what I'm noticing this season. And I'm seeing it as a positive thing.
Yeah, I think that is healthy. I think that's a good thing. It's good to play the game because you want to play the game and not just because you're slogging through it to get to the whatever the max level is. I don't think that we have changed rank or play level that appreciably in the last 6 weeks, I'll say. I mean, yes, in the last 6 months, absolutely, we've gotten better. But between, mid season 3 and beginning of season 4, I don't think our skill level has changed significantly.
I agree, but I think we are playing more consistently in that our trajectory is not, it's not huge, right? It's not like this giant slope upwards, but it has been this consistent, slow increase in rank over time where we are, I feel like over like if you look at like the long history of the last year of the Rocket League rank, it averages out to an actual increase, like an appreciable increase in rank and skill. And that, like, I'm starting to feel it. Like we're right now in 2s ranked Diamond 3s, almost champ 1s. And I'm not saying we're going to get there. I'm not putting that goal out there for this season, but I feel like we were nowhere near that a year ago. And that kind of feels good.
Yeah, last season you kept saying like, oh man, we might make it a champ. We might make it a champ. We never did. But the season before that, you said, oh man, we might make it to Diamond 3. And we didn't, but we did make it to Diamond 3 last season. So maybe if this trend continues, we will shoot for the moon and land among the stars.
So do I need to say we're going to make Grand Champ this season in order to get it next season? Is that how this works?
That's my proposal. Maybe not Grand Champ. Maybe we just say like Champ 3 or Champ 2.
Champ 2 would be great.
All right. Well, I think we should get cracking and go, win some Rocket League games so we can get that Champ 2, huh?
I actually like let's do that. Let's go play some Rocket League. If you'd like to play with us, you can get in contact with us. You can let us know. You can talk about Rocket League or let us know how you're liking Splitgate. You can talk to us anytime by reaching out. And we're always kind of watching the Discord server that we have. And you can get there by going to discord.pnapodcast.com.
If you want to find any of our older episodes or read our show notes or send us an email, you can visit our website at pnapodcast.com. That's P, the letter N, and the letter A, podcast.com.
If you're enjoying the show, we just ask that you share it with some other people that might enjoy the show as well.
Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll talk to you next time.
Did you get any further in Returnal?
No.
Great. Are you excited at all about New World?
I am intrigued by New World. Like I've seen the trailer, or at least some of the trailer, and I was like, man, this is really high production value. I'm assuming this is a cinematic trailer and this whole game isn't like this, but maybe it is.
Will you play the open beta with me?
Sure. I will give the open beta a shot.
Okay. Do you see what weekend it is?
The 9th or something like that?
Yeah, I think it's the 9th. Like next weekend.
Which is an absolute missed opportunity on Amazon's part. I don't understand why they didn't put it out over the 3-day weekend. That makes no sense at all.
I don't think they're ready.
Yeah, but like it's 1 week. It's like 4 days.
Yeah, but they were supposed to release it tomorrow. They pushed it. They pushed the whole game.
Yeah, but like, why don't they just put the beta out on this coming Friday and then I can play it when I'm off on Monday?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Oh, shoot. I get Monday off.
Yeah, that's a holiday.
It's like one of the 6 holidays that we actually recognize.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah. Wow. I don't know what to do with myself.
Climbing the champ.